The feelings are
So, were you surprised with that email from Baker?
Pretty favorable.
Really?
Charges okay.
I think you should pick
This time I'll call the work session of Perry City Council, March 5th, 2018 to order, please. We have a quorum. Item 3 are items for review and discussion. Item 3A is economic development. 3A1 is a strategic plan. Mr. Smith.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor and Council, as you're all aware, we've been working diligently since 2014 on implementing the vision that you have outlined in the city's strategic plan. And we have been updating it every 2 years to, to address for changes in the community, different initiatives the city's working on, that type of thing. And it's time to do so again. The last time the plan was reviewed and amended was in 2016 in February. So it's been a couple of years, and staff has already begun sitting down, looking at all the items in the strategic plan, taking out ones that may have been completed, adding ones that they see coming down the road, with all the growth and things that have been happening in the city, and addressing some other items. In regards to how it's put together and stuff, I'd also like to make some changes too. There's also a supporting document that has a lot of narrative and that type of thing that was developed in 2014 by my predecessor that could use some refreshing as well. So this is going to be kind of a total revamp. But obviously, as a body that sets the direction the city's going in, I wanted to get with y'all and provide you with a hard copy. I think you have a copy in your board pack as well in regards to what we currently have going. So I'd like for you to take this. This is a little bit of homework, if you will. Take this, take a look at it. Let me know if there are any questions or concerns you have about what is currently in the document, and be prepared at the next work session to discuss items to include or items to take out, that type of thing. Kind of get the meat of the matter. With that being said, do you have any questions about the process or about kind of the direction we're heading in? It's one of those things where, all the department heads, we're all very aware of the strategic plan. This guides a lot of what we do, because we always like to, when coming to y'all with an initiative or something, be like, well, in the strategic plan, it says this, so, we're gonna work on that. It reinforces what y'all see happening in the city and reinforces our work activities as staff. So, it's important, and I hope you still see value.
Make a recommendation to move it to April 2nd, if you would, please. Because I think it's going to be a pretty involved document, so give us the time to, just 2 weeks. That's okay with everybody, unless there's some pressing need.
It's fine. Yes, sir, Mr. Walker? Anything else on this matter? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Item 3B is administration. 3B1 is follow-up relative to the solid waste collection. Mr. Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, when you awarded the solid waste collection residential and commercial bid to Advanced Disposal, you had directed that the administration provide a follow-up with you sometime within the first quarter of the contract year. So that's what this is. In your board pack, I provided to you an outline relative to, at least from my perspective, where we are relative to the contract. I think if you take a look at it, you'll certainly be happy to answer any questions or points you may have afterwards. But generally, things are better with Advanced Disposal. We're getting a lot faster response from their management and their local office relative to issues. Second thing is that one of the main issues is that the littering, remember they were all getting the complaints on and everything, has dropped off. I'm not saying it's totally gone, but it's dropped off considerably since they don't use the one-arm lifting anymore. Damage to toters and everything has decreased, although we're still having a problem with that. And on occasion, we're having problems with toters left in the wrong location or tipped over on their side or stuff like that. Not as bad as what we had before, but we're working on that. On the commercial side, that seems to be going along pretty well, although there is quite a difference between what Advance had that they were handling on commercial and what's actually going on out in the field. And so consequently, the city's in the process of going back, making those adjustments, making sure that businesses all pay for whatever the service, not more than they should, not less than they should. So having some adjustments on that. One of the other side benefits that's come out of this type of stuff, going back to check on C, is also some review and adjustments generally up on fire fee and stormwater. So all in all, at least so far, it seems to be.
Are you talking about commercial, what do you call it? The
Dumpsters.
Dumpsters?
Yes.
That's the service you're talking about?
That's the commercial.
Well, it could be toters too.
Well, yes, but toters, okay, let me back up. Basically, two types of services are provided. The first one are toters. Toters can go to a business, they can go to a residential, they can go anywhere, okay? And the second is what we refer to as commercial. And that's where you have a 2-yard, 6-yard dumpster, roll on, roll off, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So the major focus on getting the adjustments correct and everything is the issue of the dumpsters.
Okay.
Okay, in other words, we've had occasions where one business is, you may remember we went through this with the downtown district a number of years ago, that there's one business paying for a dumpster in one of these little like small commercial malls or something like that, and a bunch of other businesses are going in and using it, okay? Well, that's been adjusted now based on the general use, so that all the users of the facility have to pay. The other thing which we do, which is also the same as what we do with residential, is that you cannot say you're not going to pay the fee because you take it to the landfill or you take it home with you at the end of the day. I mean, that's not what's actually done. It doesn't work. So, however, if you have a situation where there are a number of activities or businesses at a location, and one of the business, or in some cases, the property owner says, well, I'll pay, for that dumpster and everything, well, then we don't do anything with that. You see, I mean, another, we don't disrupt, but, if one business says, well, I didn't realize I was paying that much, or I wasn't paying for all that type of stuff, then it's prorated out to the other individuals.
Then we have a question on number 5, commercial recycling is not advanced very far. Your recommendation is for the city to collect commercial recyclable materials in a dedicated dumpster and have them process it. Does that mean that the businesses would need to bring it to a separate location?
No, what I'm proposing, unless you all have some issues, is we take a look at, that our folks come by and pick it up at the location, because a number of businesses put out cardboard and pallets and that kind of stuff, okay?
But without putting it in the dumpster?
Yeah. They just
Mhm.
put out.
Yeah, they just pile it
Yeah,
aside.
and because that's what they're doing now.
Right.
Okay, but we have our folks come by similar to what we do with bulk pickup,
Okay.
pick that stuff up and then take it at our central location. And there'll be a dumpster that's marked recyclables and Advance dispose of it that way.
Okay, that's fine.
The reason I'm proposing that, and you may remember Mr. Jackson's talked about this a lot, and a number of other, that just doesn't seem to be getting going and working, so. Now, I'm not saying definitely we'll do it, I'll be back up on that, but if you all have any objections, we'll take a look at that and see.
So you saying that on the total part, in the resident area, some of the total, I guess, you say they're improving on that. Because, they be turning over, laying down for the passerby. And then they're not setting up, they laying
Yeah,
over.
citywide frequency
Okay.
is decreased.
Okay.
Okay, I certainly am not gonna say it because I'm not saying it's your street. I
Right.
know it's just the other day on one of the streets I went by, I threw the wrong line on the side,
Right.
so.
I didn't know where the wind blowed over, or they didn't set it up when they got to dumping it. Or, I can't
Yeah, I think
say.
it's mostly they were in a hurry.
Right, okay.
But it does not appear, as far as I know, I mean, unless y'all get different complaints or something that I'm not aware of, it's not as prevalent as what we had before with the one on picking up. And there's nowhere near the issue now with litter dumped out and flying out on the street like we used to have.
So we're gonna wait things up on the resident instead of us periodic checking to see that they doing it. We're not gonna get into that, right?
No, we'll still periodic check and see. I mean, the goal is to have for advanced disposal that there isn't any of that
Right,
type of machine.
right.
What about the recyclable house?
Who's getting orders?
Advance picks them up directly. And that's working okay. You know, generally deal with, well, like with any contract, it's not just Advance on this type of stuff. Any contractor's gonna be fine as long as it's a clearly defined, relatively simple task and it's repetitive. See what I mean? So particularly since, like, we've had very good success with the green, I forget what the size of it is now, compared to the basket type of thing that we had. You know, so that works a lot better for the folks who are interested in recycling. They put them out at the same day.
Right.
And as far as I know, they're all picked up. Now, we have had an issue come up, I've talked with Advanced Disposal about mixing solid waste and recyclable type of stuff. And Advanced Disposal has, as far as I know, corrected that each time we brought it to their attention.
So 2 trucks are coming to my house every Monday.
Yes.
I don't see them, they come to my neighborhood, so I don't see them, I don't know who gets this.
It's too come through my neighborhood.
Huh?
It's too come through my neighborhood.
I know in my neighborhood, I don't see them, but I know I can go home, like, for example, on lunch, and one of them are picked up and emptied, and the other isn't. Now, it depends, it's not the same every single time. But, you know, one of the things, though, Advanced does use the same truck, or type of truck to pick up. So you may assume it's automatic, you know, and our customers, and understandably so, that's come by picking up the recyclables, but it looks like just a standard truck, and so they think, oh, it's just going, picking up. There are other times when we have caught Advance mixing, and they have been advised to stop.
Any questions, council? Anything further, Mr. Gilmore?
No, sir?
Item 4 is other business in the supplemental agenda. 4A is the Sand Hill Senior Living Development. Mr. Smith?
The accused,
What?
that need to excuse themselves.
Yes, Mr. King, you'll need to accuse yourself of discussion and voting on this matter. In the spirit of full disclosure.
Fine.
Mayor and council, this is an item from the Perry Housing Team that is very exciting. You know, it's something that's really been in the works for a couple of years now. We have had a number of developers speak with the housing team regarding locating a low-income housing tax credit property here in the city of Perry. What we have before you tonight, and I guess too before I continue, is I'm not going to have all the answers tonight for you. This is something that came to us on Friday. The developer, you know, decided they wanted to move ahead with this project. We're on a relatively tight time frame, so I wanted to go ahead and get this to y'all, get whatever information I had to y'all, so you can go ahead and start thinking about it and that type of thing. We have been approached to partner with Prestwick Companies out of Atlanta to develop a 70-unit senior living facility in Sand Hill on a site currently owned by Faith Bible Fellowship Church. You can see here, this is a general rendering of what the project would look like. It would be 55+ senior adults only, and have a variety of amenities and that type of thing associated with it. You know, again, this is something that it's a low-income housing tax credit project, which means you have to apply for funding in a very competitive type of environment. And they like the location here in Sand Hill for a number of reasons.
Does it have elevators in it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, here's the proposed location. It's on about 3.7 acres. And then they like the location because it is in an established neighborhood. It is in close proximity to a number of amenities. Like, you know, you're within a mile, or really within a half mile of Creekwood Park, Rotary Centennial Park, the proposed Legacy Park. You can walk downtown. You can walk to grocery stores. It's a very walkable, livable type location, and that's what they like to see. So that's why they've landed in this location to move forward. Again, to some of the stuff here, it would be a partnership between the Prestwick Companies, Faith Bible Fellowship Church, the Perry Housing Team, and the city. And what they're proposing right now, and again, I don't have all the details on this, but it will be an agreement whereas a city entity be it the housing authority, public facilities authority, that type of thing, would actually be involved in the development as kind of a holder of the lease. And it would be a long-term ground lease, 65 plus years. Go back. Where, you know, appropriate entities would be remunerated and that type of thing. So, we are working again on a tight deadline. It's actually due May 24th. We are expected to have, by the end of the week, significantly more information in regards to how this will be structured. But this is what they want to move forward with. And again, it's something I wanted to make y'all aware, because it could be a big deal. I mean, obviously it will be a big deal in the Sand Hill neighborhood in the city of Perry. Moving forward, what they would expect from the city, we're still trying to square all this away. But basically, as you'll remember with the Oliver Place development that was over there next to Publix, the Perry Housing Team will actually issue a letter in support of this project. And then the letter will come before Mayor and Council, and Mayor and Council will say yes or no in regards to moving forward. And this is for that one point that the city can provide these types of development projects and making them more competitive. You know, because they're all looking at a situation where they're graded out, you know, they think they need to be around 58 points. So they're looking at all the point structure and trying to get as many points as possible. In addition, there will be a couple of things that will be expected from the housing team and the city. A rezoning of the proposed location, amending the current urban redevelopment plan that needs to be revised anyway, to include a development such as this, the creation of a community quarterback group. This is a group of people that you put together, it could be mostly housing team members probably, that kind of guide this development. A final development agreement, again, I think we'll have more information on this week. And again, the application will be submitted by May 24. And then once it's submitted, we'll hear back in the fall. And if it's approved, everything will move forward and we'll develop it out in Sand Hill. And if not, they can choose to work with us again the next year and possibly submitting an application or not. So, I know it's a lot to take in. I apologize, I don't have more information for y'all. But again, this is something I thought was important enough to bring to y'all prior to me having answers to all your questions.
How many square feet is the unit?
If you look in your board pack software, Mr. Hunt, it ranges. There'll be 1 and 2 bedroom units, but most of them are about 800 square feet, around 800 square feet.
And the rent will be what? You know that yet?
And generally, we're looking at about $350 to $450 per month. And that's based on, you know, a lot of things.
And you're gonna be paid for it?
Oh, yes, sir. It's paid through tax credits that subsidize the rents associated with the project. People that live there would have to meet certain standards in regards to income.
And who maintains it?
Well, depending on how it's structured, it will be maintained by, obviously, the property owner for the life of the structure. Typically what you see is a 20-year project period associated with these types of projects. So for 20 years, Prestwick companies would actually manage the property, maintain it, that type of thing. And then after that, they actually have to apply again for funding, and then, you know, kind of continue from there. But the long-term lease will revert. Once the lease expired, the property will revert back to the church ultimately. This is kind of new to me, Mr. Hunt. You know, this type of stuff. I'm trying to learn.
You're telling me the answers.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it, and I'm going
What's
to
the
be getting.
lease to the church? Do you know that?
It's a long-term ground lease. That it has to be 65 or more years for the ground lease. That's what DCA requires. And again, afterwards, it would revert back to the church. All the property would.
Now, you said 20 years and then you said 65 years now. Explain the difference.
The tax credit project time frame is 20 years. And then at the end of the 20 years, they would be eligible to reapply, if you will, to extend that an additional 20 years. But the lease itself is actually for 65 plus years. So.
They would go back to renovate it after 20 years.
Yeah.
They want to have a lease long enough that you can continue to upgrade those rather than just have 20 years and we're out of here, because 20 years is a fairly short period of time, and they need to be worked after 20 years anyway, so they can reapply at that point in time. And if the lease is up, then they wouldn't have that opportunity.
That's right, it'd be like a rehabilitation project as opposed to or as opposed to a new construction project.
You mentioned the city's involvement in the lease itself. You know, what agree with what, tenure it would be?
Obviously, that's the big question, Mayor. I have not seen it broken out to a situation where I would feel comfortable with telling y'all how that's structured. But again, they should be getting that to me this week.
That's right.
Who is
The development group, Presswood.
I'd like to make a suggestion. Would you contact DCA and see if DCA has one of these lease agreements that they're talking about requiring? The reason I'm saying that is there can be potentially a big difference between here's a standard DCA lease relative to what's done versus a lease that's done by the developer for the developer's slant or purposes that generally satisfy the DCA. Is everybody with me? In other words, if DCA just says, well, you gotta have a 60-year lease, and that's as far as they go, well, okay, fine, I think that's what we need to know. If they have some example. And I talked with Robert about this. I'm not quite sure why there is this lease requirement now, and there was not the lease requirement when they came in with that Oliver Place off of Gray Road. And that Oliver Place is a lot bigger, facility. Now the one on and I don't think that makes a difference, but the one on Gray I don't think is age restriction.
That's true, but there again, the two that are age restricted in our city, we were never required to.
That's right.
Even with the addition at Cameron Court, all we had to do was go in and rezone that piece of property back there, and they just added right on to that. But Gatwick and Cameron Court never asked us to have a lease. So I guess because they own the land is probably the difference.
That was all. I just want to know what the city's involvement is in the lease itself.
That's the big question.
But because we're not a property owner and don't participate in.
Right. That is the big question.
Nor do you want to be the managing this, no, 45 years after the 20-year.
No.
Right.
But just out of curiosity, I would like to know why Oliver is not required to have one, this one is required. I'm just curious if it was because it's their land. I would like that in the first place.
Just get that confirmed.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, it's just,
It's a significant difference.
it is.
It is. From what I've gathered, Ms. Phyllis, it's a situation where DCA has been working towards this direction of having these long-term ground leases. And I don't know if it necessarily has to be like this, but I think it makes our project more competitive. It makes it viable, if you will, to do it this way. I think that's kind of a combination of both those things. But I'll get more specifics on that.
Any other questions, council?
I would put it in.
All right.
Move forward.
I'll feed it to you as I get it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
I just left the room with those. You have a penthouse.
That's the one you want to move
That's
to?
why I want a penthouse.
Mr. Gilmore, anything under the other business supplemental agenda we need to address? Thank you. Item 5 are council member items. Mr. Hunt. Mr. King.
Not this minute.
Okay. Ms. Bynum Grace. Mr. Walker. Mr. Gilmore.
Yes. Had a request come in from a owner of property that was impacted by a sewer line backup the sewer line backup, the city acknowledges that it was our problem that caused it. However, what the gentleman is asking for is, in essence, partial payments on his claim because of what he had to do for the cleanup and the damage and that type of stuff. Now, our normal process on this is that if we determine it's our fault, we will say, okay, fine, we'll pay. But you come in with a claim, in other words, how much it is that you think the cost is, and then the city says, oh, but you have the documents, so, city will say, okay, fine, and then you have to sign a release. So in other words, you don't keep going on and back afterwards, okay? Well, this gentleman who owns the property has incurred some cost, or at least he's incurred some bills, I don't know if he's made any payment, and he is requesting that the city just pay him for some of the stuff he has right now, but he's got some other costs that he hasn't gotten the estimates to us on, but he'd still like that partial payment. And I advised him that what our policy was, and he requested that I mention it to you, and since we haven't talked about this, some of you may not be familiar with the process and everything, I thought it'd be worthwhile to go over it. Now, the administration recommends against the partial payment. First one is because you can have these claims go on and on and on relative to what they're interested in, how long it took, that wasn't the correct amount, see what I mean? So we're always on the hook with it. The other thing is that you can keep getting items added. Oh, I didn't realize, oh, I needed so-and-so, next thing you know, they're talking about that their roof was affected by a backup in the sewer line. And then the third thing, of course, is that we had them sign that release so that it'll make it much more difficult for them if they want to take legal action against the city. In other words, well, this is what you claim, this is what we paid, you sign this release, what's your big, I don't want to ever say that that means they won't sue, because everybody can, but it's one of our main defenses relative to that. So the administration's recommendation to you all is that we retain the current policy, which is you submit whatever your claim is, and that's the process, you sign the release, and then you're done. Now, give you an example the other way. If you went through our insurance carrier would go out, send a claims adjuster, similar to an automobile accident or whatever. That claims adjuster makes some value. You can like it or you don't, but it makes some type of value, and then that's basically it. That's what the insurance company says they're going to pay. The other thing, of course, is that this property owner can file a claim with his own insurance company relative to have most of the worker stuff. I don't know the individual deductible, of course, but have some of that stuff taken care of, and then file a little later with this total claim with the city. You see what I mean? But I don't think we should change that policy, but we just bring that up to you and see if you want to keep our policy the same.
Keep our policy the same.
I just got one question, is that, like if the problem was from the city, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but like he would have contacted the city and let them come see you, was the problem from?
He did.
He did?
Oh, he did it. He did. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. This is not a surprise.
Oh, okay.
And it was the city's fault.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, we acknowledge that, and when it first came up and he wanted to do what's the city going to do, he was advised by city staff, and he also called me and I told him the same thing. You can file a claim. And it's taken him a while compared to what most of these other folks wind up doing. That's a better way of putting it. Yeah, but like you said, he still wants like a partial payment. He's waiting on some other type of stuff. And I said, no, we're not going to do that underneath our current policy.
I want to make them whole, but I want to make them whole once.
Right. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Hawley?
Yes, sir, and I've spoken to the mayor and city manager about this, and some of you may know, I don't know, but I am going to start seminary in the fall. So I will be transitioning out of the legal practice, come middle of the summer, which I hate, especially in regard to helping out you guys and doing what y'all are doing. But the firm is still intact. it's in place, future's good, and we're going to be transitioning someone else to be in this seat throughout the next few months. I'm not leaving until July, so there'll be a few months of transition, and I'm gonna make sure whoever it is is brought up to speed, and probably will be better than I am when they get in here. Just depends on which department head you're talking to, it's very but, and as another assurance later is getting better, and it's his intent to at least come back on a limited capacity, but one of the things he has stressed is that he wants to help out with the city work. So he's gonna be a continual resource for that office. And as I told the mayor, city manager, or maybe Larry said it, y'all got 8 attorneys that are at the ready for the city work. So I think the city's gonna be well taken care of. But just want to let y'all know what's coming up.
Well, Mr. or Reverend Colbert? That's gonna be something not used to. It's gonna be done.
That's all right, my friend.
Congratulations.
That's
I know
right.
that's a big move for
Amen.
you and your family, and we wish you well.
Appreciate it.
And just don't forget about us little folk, and please pray for us.
I will.
We can.
Because I understand that the Lord has a higher call for you than
I hope
I
so.
find it hard to believe.
Seems to be the case.
That's all right, man. During the rain.
You'll be driving to that.
I wasn't gonna go there. Now, if he said he's gonna open a bar, I might say yes.
No,
we need a greater help.
I enjoy the city work. I mean, y'all don't need my kudos, but there's a lot of good stuff going on here. It's pretty exciting to be a part of it, it really is. So that's one of the hard things to look at.
You've done a fantastic job, you and your firm, and we do appreciate you and the firm, and we're looking forward to working with whoever y'all put into that slot. And again, congratulations, and we wish you well.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Anything else?
I don't.
That's kind of hard to top.
That's right.
Item 6 are department head items. Chief Lynn, Police Department.
Nothing tonight, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go with Department of Leisure Services. Mr. Dye?
Thank you, sir. Just some dates. We have begun registration for adult softball. That will conclude at the end of the week. Next week, we'll be starting registration for spring basketball, and it'll run for a week as well. And last but not least, the Whitetail Trail section, the length of the concrete paving, it has reached its length. There's still some minor work to be done as around the edges and some drainage projects tied in. But if you haven't had a chance to get out and see that, I encourage you to. They did a very nice job. It is really, really pretty. It turned out even better than I had pictured it in my head when we went about this project. It makes a significant difference, and it's being used quite frequently. So, get a chance to go have a look at it. And that's all I have.
Good deal.
Thank you.
And has the health department finished their assessment for Troopwood Park as the when they're gonna be able to sign those papers?
They have not officially messaged me as of today, but I do think they're coming to the conclusion, and once that is done, the contract to execute work will begin, and that's when you're gonna see dirt turning over. I expect that to happen this week. And I will notify you immediately when I get my hands on it. Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Department of Community Development, Mr. Wood.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Thank you. Fire and Emergency Services, Chief Parker.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Council, 2 things. First, if you happen to see different public safety vehicles and other folks parked around the courthouse this week, we are hosting a sporting event risk management course here Monday and Tuesday, today and tomorrow. And then the next 2 days, we're doing a sporting and special event evacuation training exercise and there at the courthouse. So you'll see a lot of people here in town, and we'll be eating at different restaurants, things like that, as we go through the day. But also want to let you know that the trucks that you purchased are outside the parking lot. We have the tower, the 100-foot aerial truck will be stationed at Station 1 once it goes in service. We do have some training that we need to do before we put that in service. Then the rescue truck that's out there also will be assigned to Station 2 when it goes in service. And we're waiting on a couple other pieces of equipment to put it in service as well. So, but they're both out there, and all the firefighters are very happy and excited to get these new pieces, and They want to thank you very much. And the third piece that we're getting is the new Pierce pumper that's coming, should be here by the end of April.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, who's doing economic development? Is that still somewhat under you, or?
Still me, Mayor.
Let's try it again. How about the economic development?
Nothing, sir.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ms. Palmer?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Very good. How about our events planner? Are you back?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, I'll just give you guys an update on the egg hunt coming up. Thank you guys for supporting that event. The community has given a lot of positive encouragement and feedback. A family that is moving to Perry this summer actually saw the event online and emailed me. They won't be here for the event yet, but they're super excited. They have a special needs son, and we're super pumped to move to a community that has a mayor and council, and just a city that supports that community. We have also have it almost fully sponsored. We're right at the halfway mark as of sponsorships. A local law office, Rebecca Moody, reached out and was, I don't know, she was just really encouraging about it. So yeah, it's exciting.
Very good.
Yes,
And the
sir.
date for that again?
April 7th. And then we'll also be in attendance at the Houston County Special Olympics. They've given me permission to be there to pass out the information, so we'll distribute it right to the hands of our community.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Kenny, you're hiding from me. Okay. Thank you. Did I miss anybody? We have our meeting tomorrow night. The pre-council meeting at 5, council meeting at 6. I'd encourage your attendance. If there's nothing else to come before us, at this time I'm entertain a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose. Mr. Smith said he wanted to go in.
Oh, excuse me.
For real
That's
estate.
what happens.
Told you about this, Lee.
Guys, I'm just.
Oh, man.
Don't look at me.
Motion is there a second?
Thanks.
Motion second. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.